Good morning, Barbara. Looks like we're live.
Well, good morning, Sean.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. And how about you?
Oh, great, amazing. Having a great morning so far.
hmm
Yeah, and then I'm on here talking to you. We're gonna get a bit of a history lesson. It sounds like
You are?
uh, today. So want to welcome everybody to MMBBA Live. I'm Sean Williams, and I'm your host and current president of the Maryland Mortgage Bankers and Brokers Association. So each week we bring conversations focused on leadership, advocacy, and the people shaping our industry, like Barbara Schmitt. Today's conversation is a special one. We take a step back and we look at how both our industry and the MMBBA have evolved over time. And so today I'm joined by Barbara Schmitt. Barbara is the past president of the MMBBA and chair of our Hall of Fame committee. Barbara, you can also tell some more of your professional accolades as well, because I know you're retired, but she's been deeply involved in the association for many years and brings a unique perspective on the growth, change, and leadership that have shaped both MMBBA and the mortgage industry. So, Barbara, thank you for taking time to join us today. And
My pleasure.
before we get started, as we do with every episode, we'll do a quick fun fact question. And so, I know you like very prepared for this. My favorite part of the entire show is generally this question right here. And so, what's one fun fact or expected fact about you that most people don't know, but probably should?
Well, I gave this some thought, and my fun fact is that when I was 10 years old, I saw the Beatles live and in person at the Baltimore Civic Center, and I still have my ticket stubs. And I've been a lifelong fan.
The Beatles.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite in the group?
All.
All. You
I've
can't
seen him
say,
several times too.
yeah. So you can't really say the Beatles and say you have one favorite though, huh? It's just the group.
It's the group, but if I had to answer you, I would say it was Paul. He would be my favorite.
Got you. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
That's uh that's a really cool thing. Not too many people can say that, and especially to say you still have your ticket stub.
Yeah. Don't ask me why I saved him. I just did.
So you have the Museum of Barbara Schmidt. That's what my gut tells me. You have a lot of stuff like that, don't you?
I do. I have a box of ticket stubs and all that kind of stuff, and a basement that's filled with stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, well, let's get into it. Uh, can you start by sharing your background and your journey with MMBBA over the years?
Sure. Thank you. I started in the mortgage industry in the '70s as a loan processor at Maryland's largest savings and loan association. I moved through the ranks of the association, and in 1980, I was tapped to head the Baltimore City Residential Loan Program, which was two $50 million bond programs for the purchase of homes in Baltimore City. And by the way, for those of you that like trivia, um, this was the first bond issue in the entire country for the purchase of residential loans, way before CDA ever existed. And it was a very, very successful program for the Baltimore City. And as I said to you earlier, I am a lifelong fan of Baltimore City. I have high hopes that things will turn around a little bit, but certainly enjoy anything doing rehab. Did a lot of rehab loans in the city and enjoyed that part of my career. And I worked for several other S&Ls and banks, and then decided to try the mortgage insurance industry, an MI, for a little while. And then ultimately, I was asked to go to work for the state of Maryland's Department of Housing and Community Development. But it was in the late '80s that MMBA president, then President Bill Wilcox, asked me to chair the education committee. And I had known him for a few years. I had been attending mortgage banker meetings, but not really doing anything with the association. And that was really the jump start. I did that for a few years. I took on the role of the PAC treasurer. And by the way, it was all paper filings and absolutely no online presence for that. That was great. And from there, I joined the board of governors and then chaired our 1997 50th anniversary convention, co-chaired, I should say, and ultimately became president in 2002. And I've remained on the board for many years doing a variety of things. And I did receive the Associate Mortgage Banker of the Year award in 2005 and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2016. And I've now chaired the Hall of Fame for about 8 years. So that's me.
And so MMBBA was founded in, well, I guess it sounds like I did do this research a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about 75 years old now? So?
No, older than that.
Older than that? 1947?
1947.
So I have to use a calculator to
Okay, calculate that up.
minus 1947, 79 years.
Yes, it is. You were close.
79. So I guess, yeah, I looked it up. So then there we are. So when I got on the ladder, the executive team was about 4 years ago. And so that's where I'm getting 75 from, but
yeah,
almost 80 years. Wow. And then from your perspective, how's the mortgage industry evolved since you first became involved?
Since I first became involved?
Yeah. You mentioned paper and, the technology, I'm sure, has obviously changed quite a bit, but like how's it the actual industry evolved?
Now, I can only speak from a Maryland perspective.
That's fine.
But the industry, at least in Maryland, was dominated by banks and savings and loans. We did not have the thousands of mortgage banking and mortgage broker companies that there are today. They simply did not exist except for a few of the very large ones like Gold Dome, Solomon Brothers, things like that. About the only entities we sold loans to was Freddie and Fannie. And we did everything they told us to do, followed their guidelines. We did not have the vast array of investors that there are today. They simply didn't exist. And I think you know this, Sean. FHA set their rates. We had nothing to do with setting the rates of the FHA. So it was across the board, same rate, every company. Everything was paper. Absolutely everything was paper. We mailed the verifications of employment and deposit and everything to the various companies. Credit reports took about a week. Appraisals took about maybe 2 weeks if you were lucky. And there was no such thing as a pre-approval. And all the smaller banks and S&Ls, loans went to loan committee. They were processed and they went to loan committee. It wasn't for a few years until it evolved into an underwriter approved a loan. But it was a very different industry back then. And I have to say that I like it better today.
That was going to be part of my question is how do you like it today versus back then? And the one thing I just wrote down were two things: a week for a credit report and no pre-approval. So how do you know? I'm gonna start there. How do you know if you could buy or not? Like I come and see you and I bring all my documents and we talk about it and I tell you where I want to buy and how much I want to spend. How do I know if I could actually buy that house?
Well, I would just say to you, because I did take loan applications for a while. I wasn't a loan officer, but it was part of the job at the savings and loans in the banks. I took loan applications, and in my head, I could sit there and do some quick calculations and say, "Oh, we got a problem here," or "This looks good." But you were pretty non-committal when you were talking to a customer.
Wow. And then the credit report. Tell us about that process, because it's pretty neat. Like right now, we get it in 30 seconds or less. We click a button and it's there. And so, what was the process of ordering a credit report? And why did it take a week? Like what happened during that time frame?
Well, I would call as soon as when I started to process the loan. First thing I would do would be call the credit report company and give the information they required over the phone to get my credit report, and then they would mail it to us. So they took a while. They did whatever they did on their end, and then I had to wait for my big package to come in the mail with all the credit reports that I had recently ordered.
Interesting. And then so there was probably a steady flow, because like you speak to people during this particular week, order their credit, talk to another group of people the next day or the following week or whatever. And so you're getting your credit reports kind of trickling in over time. And what were the pipelines like during those time frames? I know we're going off script a little bit, but I'm just curious, what were your pipelines like?
I would like to say they were steady to very busy.
Wow.
Yeah, the pipeline was steady. We had a lot of we didn't have any commissioned loan officers at banks and savings and loans, and all the men in the office took loan applications, and I took them sometimes when necessary, and then later a lot more. But yeah, you were typing up, sending out your verifications of employment by mail, verification of deposit, getting the credit report, going through, looking at everything, making sure what they took. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that was like today, but it was all paper, and it was all waiting. There was no such thing as a 30-day closing.
What was the average close?
60. Oh, easily 60. Yeah.
Wow. And then what was considered like today's like world? We are trying to close loans 2-3 weeks. Some people just touting the 10-day close and stuff like that, and so we can do it. What would be considered a rush? Then like a loan where you kind of like knocked it out of the park and
okay. Rushes were always for the special customers, and you could get that done in 30 days.
30 days.
You had to push everything. You really had to push everything.
I see. And so what? All right. So how has the role of the MMBBA changed alongside these industry shifts? Because you've been involved for a long time. Like, so how has the role of our organization changed?
The role of our organization, I think we let me see what I put here.
Yeah, and this is question 3.
Question 3. Okay. Well, can we back up a little? Well, no, we won't. Okay.
Well, we can. Like I said, on that particular one, you got me thinking, and I did.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. The MMBA, first of all, has always, since day one, been focused on education for our members. So our job, I felt at the time and still do, was to keep up with everything in the industry, keep up on the changes, monitor what's going on, and bring that information to our members. So education, we had probably, easily 6 to 8 educational events a year. And these were all, and bringing in Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac to talk to us, bringing in people from the MI industry. I can remember some really good ones, having a whole MI panel to talk about what they are looking for and how to do business with them. But I think that MMBA has been in the forefront of keeping its membership on target and abreast of everything that's happening out there today. They're laser focused on the legislative issues that affect our industry. We have always monitored legislation, but I think it's tripled now how we do it. We review every bill in Annapolis that could possibly have an impact on us. We have a wonderful lobbyist. If none of you have ever met him, his name is Dennis Rasmussen. And in January of every year, he gives a tour of the State House and explains the legislative process. And it is a great event. It really is a nice event to sign up for when you see that come across your email. We have a much better collaboration, I think, with National MBA. Now, I do think that's because, first of all, we're right next door to them. They're in Washington. So we can tap them. We get them over here rather quickly than I would say people in California do. They have also assisted us when we have had twice in my history, we had legislation that was going to be proposed not on the state level, but actually on the city and county level. And it would have drastically affected us. And MBA stepped in and helped. Baltimore City was going to pass something that was absolutely crazy, that you would never have found a lender ever again to do business in Baltimore City. And Montgomery County was the same way. And National stepped in and helped us with that. Again, I've already talked about how we focus on the education of our members, and we're constantly looking to expand our membership and bring new people into the industry. I have no idea how this happens, but there are people that don't know we exist. And when they find out, they're so pleasantly surprised to find everything we have to offer and learn about with the networking opportunities. And I'm going to tell you a little quick story, and you might not even know this, Sean. In 2010, we almost closed our doors. Did you know that?
The Maryland Mortgage Bankers?
We did. We were down to about our last $50 in the bank. I'm exaggerating, but membership had dropped dramatically. No one was signing up for membership. Think about it, 2010, beginning of the mortgage crisis. Nobody was signing up. Companies were dropping like flies. No one was spending any money on their employees to send them to conferences, education events, conventions, etc. Everything right and left was being canceled. And we literally were almost broke. And a group of us, Dave Muir was the president at that time, he will tell you more. We sat down and said, we can't let this happen. And we actually, unfortunately, let go of our executive director at the time. And we did everything ourselves. And we cut corners and begged for free speakers and free conference rooms. And we got through it.
Wow.
I will tell you that the Greater Baltimore Board of Realtors at the time was fabulous to us. They had a nice large conference room. And because of, reciprocal things, they didn't charge us. We got speakers and just said, look, we can't afford it. Can you come? We guarantee you a big audience. And they did. And we muddled through and got back on our feet.
How long did it take to turn that around?
It took well in excess of a year or so to turn that around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Dave Muir could tell you his nightmare history of the presidency for that.
I have to ask that question because I heard some rumblings of it and just in passing in conversation, but I didn't know the full story behind it. So no, thank you for sharing that. And so, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned from your time in leadership with the association?
My biggest lesson, okay, I look at the MMBA as a family, and it's one that embraces you and has your back. We're competitors, yet we're all friends. And you will make lifelong friends from belonging to this organization. I mean, I know that I have. Help is a phone call away. You can pick up the phone, call anyone, call any of the past presidents, who so many of them are still in the industry today. They're leaders in their field. Pick up the phone, call them, ask your question. They'd be happy to help. Today, so many people work from home and meet others via Zoom meeting. And you have got to get out and network. It's the only way to meet your peers and find out what's really going on around you. I urge you to get involved, join an MMBBA committee, volunteer to assist with an event, attend our events. You can be a voice in this industry. And as I said, reach out to anyone and they will be happy to help. And Sean, if you don't mind, I got a little aside here for you. When I was in the MI industry, I worked for Triad Guarantee Mortgage Insurance. My boss, the regional VP, was located in Florida, and he covered the entire East Coast. And he had lived in other places, and he attended a lot of MBA, a lot of MBA functions, at the state level. And he adored coming to our events. He couldn't get over how friendly everybody was, how they embraced him. And he's the one that said to me, you guys are all friends. He said, you might be competitors, but you're friends first. And he would jump at the chance to come to any event that we had and fly up here to Maryland and join us. And I think that says a lot when it's somebody who attends events all over the country.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome to hear. So it's
Yeah.
this I will say the association's always been, like you mentioned, one in which you could network.
Hmm.
I've met some great people through the organization, folks that I, to this day that I met, way back when, that I call for help. If I see them around, it's largely going to be cordial, and we know each other through the association. And then even more so now, as we're evolving, I'm seeing it become that way. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, for that's the main thing. Like when we ask people why they're involved in MMBBA and why they join our board and such, and
Hmm.
most people say the same things is because of how close knit and tight it is, and how much help they get through the network in the
Hmm.
association. So
I know
we,
there's a group of us that always make an effort.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So
I
we
was going to
just,
say there's always a group of us that make an effort to, whenever there's an event and we go to the event, if we see somebody we don't know, we go up to them and we welcome them. We don't know who they are, but we welcome them and make sure that they feel like they belong. That we don't want anybody standing in a corner with a drink in their hand with nobody to talk to.
some of us like that.
I have a couple of other things I wanted to tell you, a little bit of a brief history, and I'm just going to touch on these things, but I encourage everyone to go online to our website and read our history, see who our past presidents are, see who our award winners are. But we actually were founded in 1947. But I should back up and say that myself and another past president by the name of Chick Reed decided to write the history of this association. I don't know how we did this, but we did. But we actually found an article in a Sun paper archive from 1940 reporting that an announcement was made of the organization of the Baltimore Mortgage Bankers. So that was the name of our predecessor, or that was our original name. I mean, we didn't incorporate or anything, but that was our name. And our first president, surprisingly, was head of the FHA. And it was in 1973, we finally changed our name formally to the Maryland Mortgage Bankers Association, Inc., and incorporated for the first time. So we went all those years without being incorporated. And for any ladies in the audience today, it wasn't until 1990 that we had our first female president. So that's a lot of years. That's 40 years. And finally, it took another 12 years to have a second female president, and that was me. And then, as many of you may know, in December of 2016, we merged the mortgage brokers into us. And on the website, I'm not going to read any more to you, but on the website, we have the history of the Mortgage Broker Association too. So it's a very interesting read to see where we were and where we are today.
That's interesting. So why is it important to preserve that history?
Well, I think any history is worth preserving. And that's the way we felt in 2010. We can't let this organization go. It's done too much. It's been here too long. It's too important. And we want to preserve that history, and so that we can see it continue to evolve and change, and for the better.
And so let's talk about the Hall of Fame. It's a big deal. If you're in the Maryland Mortgage Bankers Hall of Fame, it's a big thing. So can you talk about the Hall of Fame and what it
Yes, I
represents for our
can.
industry?
The Hall of Fame was started in about 15, 20 years ago. I don't have the exact date. But we felt that it was important to honor those members who had done outstanding work for the association. And we made the criteria, and it's only 4 pieces, and I'm going to tell you what they are. We made the criteria very loose. You don't have to be a president or anything like that to go into the Hall of Fame. The person has to be retired, living or deceased. We hope they're living. Actively involved with the MMBA or the former MPA for at least 10 years. Held a leadership position with either organization. Example, executive board, board of directors, committee chair, fundraiser, something like that. And most importantly is the person who has practiced their profession with high ethical standards. We do not give the award every year. Sometimes we're waiting for somebody to retire because we know they deserve to go in, but they haven't retired yet. So I'm sorry, the inception was 2004. And we only have 25 people in the Hall of Fame at this point in time. So we didn't give the award several times. In fact, we didn't give it this year. We did not have anybody that we thought was eligible for it. I've got somebody in mind for next year, and it's a person who's retired twice. So hopefully they stay retired this time and we can induct them into
Yeah,
the
you
Hall of
don't know
Fame.
if they're going to get back in or not.
I think this is it. I think this is the firm retirement, and I will be sharing that with you, Sean. But hey, and you get free membership in the MMBBA when you're in the Hall of Fame. You don't have to pay a fee. So
And a plaque.
yeah, and a plaque. You get a plaque, very nice plaque. And
Yeah.
but it's a wonderful, wonderful award, and I am so thrilled when I am inducting somebody that's not only a colleague but also a friend into this.
And so, what do you think sets apart individuals who made a lasting impact in mortgage banking?
What set them apart is their dedication. They just go full throttle. Keep in mind, they're all working full time, just like you are, Sean, and they go full throttle and do anything and everything they can. If they're a chair of a committee, if they're in a fundraising capacity, going out to get our sponsors, they do it. They just do it. They put in the hours that are necessary, and I think they reap the rewards at some point in time. Probably in their own mind, they reap the rewards. They did a good job.
And so, for me, I try to work in threes. And as I told everyone in the speech that I did for entering the presidency this year, the three things that I was largely focused on and putting attention into was membership. So growing that, legislation, that's like super important, which leads to being able to help members understand why we do it. Also, just helping the consumer in a big way through the legislation. But the third thing that I'm focused on, that I've identified, and I think a lot of us are, and you mentioned it earlier too as well, but like next generation, like we're talking about Hall of Fame, and we're talking about the organization being in business for 79 years and such. It's a long time, and so things evolve. And so, what advice would you give to the next generation of mortgage professionals getting involved today in
Well,
our association?
I think, as I said, come to events, see what's going on, volunteer. Volunteer is so important. Volunteer for a committee, something that interests you. We've got a variety of committees. Look at them all, see something that might interest you, and join that committee. And or volunteer an event. We do have events where we just need the committee's not large enough to handle everything. Handle the crowd or whatever that may be. Volunteer to help, and get out there and network. You got to get out from behind your desk. As I said, so many people today, they're working remotely. They don't have that interaction in the office anymore. And I'll tell you something. In fact, we have a lunch next week. It's a group of us. It's about 10 of us who meet several times a year and have a fun lunch. And we all are connected to the MMBBA, but we're not all past presidents or stuff like that. And when we were sitting around talking about the Zoom meetings and the remote working, one of the guys said something very astute. He said, "You know what? These people today will not have this. any, meaning the lifelong friendship. We've all known each other 30 some years and are still friends. And you can't get that by not getting out there.
That's good advice. And last question, Barbara. If you leave our members with one takeaway about leadership and longevity in the industry, what would it be?
Leadership, and sometimes it's being, leadership opportunities can be just by being in the right place at the right time. And some others you have to scratch and claw to get where you want to go. And I advise you again to put yourself out there. I know I used to be a person who would say, "Oh, I can't do that. I don't know anything about it." Well, I got rid of that thinking a long time ago, and jumped in and did things that were unfamiliar and made me uneasy, and I survived and I did it.
Yeah, and you're still doing it to this day because
I think so.
This was your first live stream, I think you said. When
Yes,
we
it
got
was.
on.
Yes, it was. I've chaired several organizations in addition to Maryland Mortgage Bankers, and each one had its own unique. Each one was a unique organization. One was a nonprofit that some of you may, and I'll put a plug in, St. Ambrose Housing Aid Center, which is the oldest housing nonprofit in the city of Baltimore. I chaired that for 7 years and was on the board for many, many more years. I didn't know anything about the inner workings of a nonprofit such as that built houses, renovated houses, took care of people. But I learned so much there. And then I chaired another organization that taught lenders. And that was fun too. So each avenue was a little bit different, and learned so much doing it.
And we didn't really talk much about your that part of your background, but the housing development.
Oh yeah.
Talk about your role there if you can.
Yeah, I actually started doing, when I took over the bond. I'll tell you this: when I said I took over the bond when I was tapped to do the bond program, which was two $50 million bond issues, I was so out of my league. I thought, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I learned as I went, working with bond attorneys and the city of Baltimore. I was actually on lend lease for 4 years to the city of Baltimore to do this. I worked for a savings and loan, but they lent me out to the city of Baltimore, but they still paid my salary. And that's where I met the majority of the people that was my stepping stone, so to speak, getting tapped for that program. And I was asked to come on board after I was working for Tri Guarantee Insurance. And I went in, the controller had asked me to come into the office and do at that point in time, CDA did not do conventional loans with MI insurance. And the controller asked me to come in and give I knew him from another life. And he asked me to come in and do a presentation on how does MI work? What is this animal? So I did. And then he offered me a job. And I was a little bit burned out from the MI industry. It was a tough job in Maryland because Maryland is so small. And I said, sure. He said, we need you to bring in lenders. We need you to train our lenders. He said, we want you to bring the mortgage banking industry into here. And that was what my job was when I started there. And I only worked there 9 years.
So the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, where because I remember that's where I met you. I was going to at the time it was CDA. Before it became the Maryland Mortgage Program.
Yeah.
And so what was your role there, before you retired?
I was the lender liaison. When I first started there, I had a lot of contacts in the industry. I had a lot of contacts through my job as an MI rep, covering the state of Maryland, Washington, and Northern Virginia. So they only had maybe a handful of lenders at the time, and they wanted to beef up the lenders that they had in their program. And they knew I knew the people to do that, luckily. So my job at the beginning, I called on lenders. I presented the program. I listened to why they didn't want to be in the program because it didn't have the best of a reputation at the time. And it should have. It has a great reputation now. And then I started doing training classes. Anybody who would listen. I went all over the state. In fact, MMBA hosted some of the big training classes that we did in the very beginning. We were a collaboration, and a great collaboration, because MMBA had the draw. They had the mailing list to get these people into our, we had like sometimes over 100 people in a room, and then, hopefully we could get them signed up. And now there's lots of great lenders in the program. And then I would go out, but much like Catherine does today, of course, but of course we're back to Zoom now. But go out and do training classes for realtors, lenders, nonprofits, anybody who wanted to hear it.
That's
so
awesome.
I liked it because I wasn't tied to a chair and a desk.
Yeah, that's how we met.
Yep.
So we're gonna wrap up. Did we miss anything? Is there anything you want to add before?
I just want to say thank you so very, very much for inviting me. I've enjoyed it, and I hope our audience has too.
Thank you. And so just hang on the line with me for a bit. But Barbara,
Okay.
thank you for sharing your perspective, and more importantly, for everything you've contributed to the MMBBA and the industry over the years. For everyone watching, understanding the evolution of our industry and the leaders who helped shape it gives all of us a better foundation for where we're headed. So the MMBBA will continue to build on that legacy while creating opportunities for the next generation to get involved and make an impact. And so be sure to stay tuned for us for future episodes on MMBBA Live. We have a board meeting next week, so we'll miss next week, but the following week we'll be back and talk about some technology with a team that has some AI technology that they're rolling out. And so we're excited about that. And so I'm Sean Williams. Thank you, Barbara, for your time today. And
You're
thanks
welcome.
again for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Okay.